Look at me. I mean, do I look like I can beat up a woman or anybody for that matter? It's preposterous. Much as I'm advocating for cycling, I'm not a fool. There are individuals who want me killed. There are individuals who want me injured. So I have to be careful. I was convinced she was not the best person to be Chief Justice. I'm still convinced she's not the best person to be Chief Justice. History has vindicated me, but unfortunately I'm not the person who appoints the Chief Justice. Let the blame rest on somebody else's shoulder.
Hello and welcome to Tuko Siasa this week. He is the former president of Law Society of Kenya and now is running for Member of Parliament for Westlands. This is a conversation between myself, Kingori Wangeshi, and Mr. Nelson Havi. Karibu sana.
Asante sana Kingori.
Karibu kwa
wewe ni kijana ya Kingori Mwangi rafiki yangu.
Tutaangalia hiyo maneno.
Asante.
Yes. Now thank you very much for your time on Tuko Siasa.
Yeah.
We appreciate because we know you have a very tight schedule even as you look for that extra vote in Westlands.
Yes.
But we want to know who Mr. Nelson Havi is.
Nelson Havi is what you see, me.
Yes.
The simple guy many people do not understand. I'm 45 years old, the son of Madam Grace Obwamo and later Mwalimu Josephat Obwamo. I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm married with the children. I run a legal practice and I've ventured to get into elective politics, as people call it, but I've decided not to call it elective politics. I've decided to call it elective leadership. I'm vying for the seat of Member of National Assembly for Westlands constituency.
Yes.
I believe there is much that has been said about me, there's much that has been written about me. Often the best evaluation is the one that is given to you by the people. The most I can say about myself is as simple as I have enumerated to you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a village called Nangili in the then Kakamega district, Likuyani division. Likuyani is now a constituency. My parents, originally from Vihiga and Kakamega, were teachers. So they moved to Likuyani, sub-location, when they were teaching in Nangili Primary School. I went to Nangili Primary School for nursery, and I vividly remember my nursery school teacher.
You can say hi to her.
No, she's since deceased. Her name is Margaret Manasseh, a very awesome lady. I went to primary school in Nangili from class 1 to class 8. By the time I was living in 1991, my headmaster was the great Hilary Njaya, again deceased, a distinguished leader and a good teacher. He taught us English and Swahili. I grew up in the village, so to speak, going to school, coming back home, looking after cattle, going to fetch water, making dinner, because often dinner is the only thing that we made, because at lunchtime we were either not at home or we were in school. So it's dinner and breakfast that we used to make. I remember we used to wake up very early at 4. I never woke up later than 5:30. It was always between 4 and 5:30. To that song, Amka Kumekucha, elimu ndio msingi wa maendeleo.
Yes.
I remember,
KBC.
yes, I remember at one point in time we got into a deal with my dad, so I kept the radio. It was a national, remember the transistor radios? This is called national.
Was it National Star?
National, it is national.
Okay.
So ideally that's how it was. In the initial stages, because when we moved to where my father bought land, it was not so much inhabited because it was still in the wilderness.
Yes.
We hunted antelopes and hares. As boys then. We molded a lot from mud. Remember, you could mold a big tractor and hoping that you'll come back tomorrow to to drive it. Woe betide you if it rains. You've molded a big tractor and then it's rained.
It's destroyed.
Occasionally, we will be so much engrossed in our play, we forget the cows going to eat somebody's maize. And then, it's a big punishment. They have to count the maize. Of course, your father has to pay for it. And you have to pay for it with a can. But all this was in the nature of growing. Often I remember sometimes we could go looking for firewood, myself with the boys, and even my sister, my elder sister. She was a tomboy. We climbed trees, look for firewood, look for fruits. I mean, it was a very enjoyable life growing up.
Yes, in the village.
In the village.
But now your grown-up life is in the city.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I vividly remember the first time I came to Nairobi. It was when I was bringing my papers for admission to the University of Nairobi and to apply for HELB loan. I remember leaving home at around 4 to catch a matatu to Maltisa, another one to Kakamega, so that I process my papers there and board stagecoach to Nairobi via Kisumu. Yeah, and I came to the city, joined the University of Nairobi, studied law. In between, I did some few manual jobs. I remember at one point in time working for Kukuru Foods Complex as a merchandiser. Merchandisers are the people who put a product into the market. Then in 1998, there was this soft drink called Softer Cola. We're the ones who put it in the market. And I can tell you my territory was Gikomba, Majengo, Jericho, Bama, and we could be dropped by the truck at City Stadium. And then you go on foot looking for people who are interested in retailing. At one point in time, I taught the Asian students here as a part-time tuition to earn a living. And used to earn a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about 1998 to 2000.
Yes.
On a fair month, I could earn 20,000. So my colleague and I, my roommate, my very good friend, Philip Nyechoti, we were the richest guys in our class. We had a fridge, we had a hi-fi system, we had a colored TV, we used to cook. We were always in suits. We were working hard, smart.
Yes.
Despite both of us having come from very humble beginnings.
Yes.
That's it. And I finished my LLB training. After that, I joined Salim Danji and Company Advocates then, one of the best litigation firms during our times for my training. And started practicing law. Was employed twice, first by Salim Danji himself when he was Draftman Danji and Elms and Vardy, and then next by MMC, Muriu Mugai, the famous international firm. Then set up, and I've been practicing on my own for the last 17 years.
17 years?
Yes.
That's how you've managed to run such a huge law company or law practice company.
No, this is a small outfit compared to the big law corporations that they are in this town. I'm a sole practitioner. Look, I bought the entire space here in 2013, 4,000 square feet. I had in mind a big law firm with 4 partners, each occupying 1,000 square feet and associates. But sometimes in the nature of practice, you may not bring together all those people. And I said, why? What the heck? Let me just be who I am. Many other prominent lawyers have done it. Mutula Kilonzo, Senior the late, was a sole practitioner. My friend Fred Ngati is a sole practitioner. So you can still deliver even if you're not in that big corporate entity, which often doesn't give the personalized service that most people, especially those desirers of reprieve in court, may be looking for.
All right. Would you remember your first day in the courtroom?
Intriguing. I was admitted to the bar on the 12th of June 2003. It was a Wednesday. And then, intriguingly, my boss, very funny character, Salim Danji, bought me a shirt from Sir Henry's, an Ongaro shirt, a briefcase. What else did he buy me? And then on Thursday, he tells me, look, big shot, we're going to court tomorrow, the Court of Appeal. The file you've been working on is the one who will handle. Are you ready for it? And I want you to teach that gentleman a lesson. He was talking about the late Rostam Hira. Rostam Hira and Salim Danji were friends of a funny kind. So anyway, to cut a long story short, Munyao, Salim's driver, comes in the morning and tells me, boss, let's go. And I go downstairs. I find Salim smiling from ear to ear like a cobra, as I used to tell him. Because he had a bow tie. Now, the significance of that bow tie was to descend on me a few minutes later when we reached the Court of Appeal, and I realized, oh, he's in a bow tie, so he'll sit behind and I'll be in front.
Yes.
I don't remember who the judges were. But at the end of it, I ended up forcing Rostam Hira to withdraw his appeal. Well, it was my first score. First appearance in the Court of Appeal.
And a win.
And a win.
Yes.
Often you will not get the chance to appear before the High Court on your first day, because most people, masters who eventually end up being your boss, are very guarded. They will give you small briefs like taxation of bills of course. But Salim threw me to the deeper end. And that to some extent explains why I always confront matters head on without any fear.
Okay.
Because if you have a good boss, a good master to hold your hand, you will always be able to do it effortlessly.
Yes. Because
you're sure that by the time he or she says do it, he or she has ascertained and evaluated your potential. So Salim gave me potential. He gave me the push, and yeah.
So can we say that was your most outstanding case throughout the career, or
no? Look. It punctuated what will otherwise be my illustrious litigation career. I've handled so many cases. Sometimes I meet people on the streets or even in the campaign trail. They tell you, you acted for me. So I always refer to David Saul's statement in No Easy Day, the SAIL team, that the only easy day was yesterday. I mean, a lawyer is as good as his next case.
Oh, okay. That is what you say.
I mean, that's fact. Yeah, because as soon as you've won a case, it is done. We've won BBI, it's done. We can't tell people that BBI, we need to win the next case.
Right.
But there's been so many cases that have stood out in my career. I think the most pivotal one was the case filed by William Ruto against George Tuko after the disputed 2007 general election. It's significant for several reasons, because I remember drafting the petition. It was filed in the name of James Orengo. Immediately thereafter, the coalition government came into place. James Orengo was appointed a minister. And I was left with the responsibility of handling this petition. At one point in time, the lawyer for George Tuko, Professor Githu Muigai, applied to strike our petition, ended up striking several paragraphs of our petition before Justice Nyamo. Went to the Court of Appeal. We lost in the Court of Appeal. We were asked to go on with the petition, mutilated. I remember us going before Justice Luka Kimaru. And at one point in time, the client, William Kabogo, asked me, are you comfortable with these lawyers who we are working with? There were some two senior lawyers then who were assisting me after Orengo. I told them, look, boss, let's just throw them away. We will handle this case by ourselves. So I brought in Omwanzo Mbati, brought in Richard Otino Kwach, retired judge, and we won the damn case. To me, it is the biggest case that I ever won in my formative years. Of course, history has reported many other cases that I've done. Yeah.
All right. Are you still Miguna's lawyer?
Well, I don't know whether Miguna considers me his lawyer, but Miguna is a very good friend of mine. I acted for him first when Raila Amolo Odinga fired him unfairly in 2011. We won in court. Thereafter, many years passed by. Again, on the morning that Miguna's house was broken into, is Raila Amolo Odinga through Junior, who instructed me to go and act for Miguna. Of course, certain cases suffer fatigue. Miguna's case is one case that has suffered a lot of fatigue because you make a lot of progress in court, but the state frustrates everything that you've done. So right now there is another advocate on record. It's called Adrian Kamotho. But look, Miguna is a freedom fighter just like myself. So freedom fighters do not need to be given lawyers. The freedom movement gives them lawyers. So I'm still Miguna's lawyer.
Right.
If there is need for us to go and do something necessary to ensure that Miguna gets back to the country, we'll do it. Remember even the other time Chief Justice William Ruto and I had offered to travel all the way to Germany to go and bring him. But
why didn't you go?
The legal process did not enable us to go.
Okay.
It became apparent that we will not be able to bring Miguna here unless we have a facilitatory order, and we couldn't get that order.
Okay.
And also the visa application requirements bogged us down. Yeah, but we were already willing and able to go.
Right.
And we can go any day to bring Miguna. I believe when Dr. William Ruto becomes president, I will be in the plan to go and bring Miguna back home.
Fair enough. Before we talk about your tenure at LSK, how would you evaluate Chief Justice Martha Kome's first year in office?
She's a distinguished failure. Yeah, I mean, I can't say it otherwise. And look, it is disappointing because when she was appointed Chief Justice, many people said first female Chief Justice. I mean, where is femininity in being a Chief Justice? Understand? But she's become a disappointment to those who rallied behind her. For me, I have no apologies because you can see that elaborate memorandum I submitted before the Judicial Service Commission. I was convinced she was not the best person to be Chief Justice. I'm still convinced she's not the best person to be Chief Justice. History has vindicated me, but unfortunately, I'm not the person who appoints the Chief Justice. Let the blame rest on somebody else's shoulder.
Are there instances that you can point out, Mr. Havi, to say, for you to describe the current Chief Justice as a distinguished failure?
Oh, of course. How do you go to a school function in the full glare of cameras and microphones? You pick one and say, if you file a case against a school for disciplinary action, we'll dismiss the case. Who does that? Which judge does that? You understand? How do you sit in a committee set up by the Minister in charge of Interior to oversight the preparatory process towards the election? You will be sitting as an adjudicator when these matters come before you. You know, the practice of law is all about common sense. It requires a lot of circumspection. Do you think Maraga will have done this? Do you think William Mutunga will have done this? No. And the moment you come to that conclusion, you realize there is a problem here.
Okay. Now, let's roll back to your tenure as the LSK president.
Yes.
To be fair, it was marred by controversy and drama.
Yes.
Why was it like that?
I don't perceive it as a tenure marred by drama. I think it was marred by controversy. And the controversy arose from this point. As soon as the council passed a resolution to commence disciplinary proceedings against the Attorney General, Paul Karukihara, and the Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto, the state embarked on an elaborate mechanism to frustrate the performance of our functions. You saw it. And what happened is now a matter of history. But what I can tell you is this. When I took over office, I said, I'm a wartime president, like King David. So don't expect me to bootlick, don't expect me to pacify, especially those who do not adhere to the rule of law and constitutionalism. And we fought all these mongrels, understand, from bottom up. In fact, at one point in time, you saw President Uhuru Kenyatta lament, hawa mawakili hawataki kuniruhusu nifanye kazi. And what was my response? We must do our work because you're not doing your job appropriately. A few events punctuate the highs in my tenure, which people looking at a different prism may want to categorize it as controversial. You remember during the curfew, we are the ones who went to court to challenge the curfew. Everybody said, no, you are taking us to perilous course, people must be confined at home, otherwise they'll be affected. We said, yes, there is a pandemic, but the rule of law must be followed. And we succeeded in court, remember? President Uhuru Kenyatta issued so many draconian and unconstitutional executive orders. We successfully challenged them in court. You understand? We got Chief Justice David Kenani Maraga to issue an advisory to the president to dissolve parliament. You understand? BBI, we barricaded a very venomous enterprise by the state to dismember the constitution. This, amongst many other things, defined my tenure. Remember, at one point in time, they'd even to conjure trumped up assault charges against me to slow me down.
You mean there was nothing like that?
And look at me. I mean, do I look like I can beat up a woman or anybody for that matter? It's preposterous. All these were machinations of the state.
So now, why does it sound like you fight everybody? Chief Justice Kome, Solicitor General, Attorney General, the President. Nobody amongst them that could be your friend, so to speak, or work with you?
No, I don't fight anybody. I defend myself against many people. Remember, for instance, the Attorney General and the Solicitor General. Why did we take that action against them? Because they'd given the president wrong advice not to swear in judges. You understand? Look at the issue of the dissolution of parliament. I was on the defense because the constitution has said we must have 2/3 gender equity and parity. Hardly will you find me on the offensive. Look, it's because the armor and the arsenal that I use in my defense, that those who have otherwise embarked on a perilous enterprise to abrogate rights, to put aside the law, to disobey court orders, find me as a fighter. But the nature of my fighting is defensive. It's not aggressive.
All right. Now, you called it elective leadership. Why did you decide to get into it, and why Westlands?
First, let me lay the foundation. Never before 2017 did I ever contemplate that I'll want to be president of the Law Society. But the more I grew in the practice of law, I encountered certain challenges which I realized could only be solved if you're seated on the table where decisions are being made. That's when I decided to go to vice president of the Law Society. In fact, those who know me will tell you, Havi was like senior private Nelson Havi. Very private individual, shuns publicity. We are surprised he wants to be president. It was deliberate and it achieved the purpose. Now, and I can be frank with you, even as I was being elected president of the Law Society, it never crossed my mind that I'll one day want to serve as an elected leader in the National Assembly. Until I started dealing with these individuals. You start dealing with the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, the Speakers of Parliament, the Director of Criminal Investigations, the Director of Public Prosecution. Then you realize there is a problem of leadership here, because most of these offices force you to be conformist. You understand? I submitted many memorandum to Parliament on various issues. And I went and appeared in Parliament many times, and I've always said this for the people of Westlands. I've spoken in Parliament 15 times. as a president of the Law Society of Kenya. Yet the member of National Assembly has only spoken once. So whilst in these dealings with public officers, I realized there is very little you can do through the court process. The court process may take 2 years. It may take 5 years. It may take 10 years. Parliament, if there is goodwill, lobbying, and public support of the idea that you espouse, you'll get done in a day, 2 days, maximum 6 months. How long did it take them to get done with BBI? A few days. So I said, some of us must volunteer to go there and fix this thing from inside. We need good laws. Legislation being one of my 4-point agenda. With good laws, you're able to uplift the welfare of people. Look at the fuel levy. Look at HALB. Look at taxes that keep on spiraling and going up. All these are matters of legislation. We can go to court, get an order. These fellows will not obey the order. But if you are in Parliament and the idea that you're putting across is a good one, you will amend the law, you'll repeal the law, you'll enact the law, and you'll bring change. And then about oversight of the executive. Look at the executive orders that are being made by President Uhuru Kenyatta and the people who serve under him. Look at the appointments that do not take into account ethnicity, gender, and region. We end up challenging them in court. Yet Parliament has approved some of these things. Look at KEMSA, for instance, the COVID billionaires. Parliament has had occasion to deal with them. Some of them we're handling them in court. If you have individuals who stand for something in Parliament, people who can be able to speak the way Moseti Anyona did, the way Orengo did in the 80s, the way Paul Mwite did, the way Martha Karua did, the way Professor Wangari Maathai did, then we'll have change. Because it must sadden you that we have individuals in Parliament who upon election just collect their salary and allowances. They never speak in Parliament. Look at the quality, look at the caliber of some of these individuals. Of course, many will tender degrees that they have procured atop a university in a dingy street. But ask them, what do you do for a living? What are the standards upon which we can evaluate you as an individual, despite the fact that you've been elected? None. But as a lawyer, you're able to see my track record. You're able to see what I've done. Have I excelled in my practice of law? Do I have any disciplinary complaints? These are the issues that determine the quality of a leader. Compare what we have here in Kenya to what we have in the United States of America. The United States of America has the highest number of generals and lawyers as presidents, with very elaborate track records of how they have grown from where they began to where they are. Here, somebody will go to all lengths to conceal his or her academic or professional record, yet they want to be leaders.
All right. We'll come back to that. What can the people in Westlands expect from you that is different? Now here you can spell out your 4-point agenda, each briefly or in a summary.
Now, there is a big problem in Westlands. Westlands is the richest constituency with the highest number of poor people. Whereas CDF allocates 150 million per year for infrastructural development, poverty alleviation, and general development. We do not have a single hospital built in Westlands for the last 10 years. We do not have a single school built in Westlands for the last 10 years. We do not have a market in Kangemi or End Market. If you go to those areas, you'll be surprised, are they in Westlands? Yet they constitute almost 60% of the voter population. Now, with a kitty in the amount of 150 million, we'll be able to build schools in those areas where a majority of the people are in the bottom of the social economic strata. And you see, when you improve their welfare, you benefit the entire constituency, because these individuals work in areas that may be considered urban, where capital owners reside. And you see, you increase their purchase power. You make them live an affordable life. Look, for instance, on Sunday, we were planting trees at Kangemi Cemetery Memorial Park, a 3-acre park that has been converted into a dump site. You move from Kangemi Camp to City Park and you see the disparity. But that notwithstanding, the problems I need to solve for the people of Westlands are not isolated to the dwellers in Kangemi and Mountain View. Even here, look at Westlands CBD, for instance. We don't have a bus park. We don't have a bus stop. We don't have lanes that that feed into the highway or the expressway. And it's the hub of business here in Westlands and in Nairobi, if I may say, because Westlands is domiciled by many international organizations. Actually, all international organizations are in Westlands. The 2 major telecommunication companies are in Westlands, banks, hospitals, etc. We need infrastructural development. The serving member of National Assembly, a lawyer by profession, has to a large extent failed the people of Westlands. And that is the reason as to why I believe, given the opportunity to serve the people of Westlands, will uplift the standards of living for everybody. But fundamentally, and this for the benefit of the entire Republic, the primary role of a member of National Assembly is legislation. Debate, debate and debate.
Yes.
If you cannot speak, if you cannot argue, if you cannot articulate your ideas in the manner in which you've perceived them for the benefit of your people, then you have no business being in Parliament.
You're right.
And bearing in mind that Tim Wanyonyi is my biggest competitor, he's done nothing insofar as legislation is concerned.
You're right.
Yeah.
Now, you've mentioned him, Mr. Tim Wanyonyi.
Yes.
He was running for governor, but that was reversed by the forces that may be.
Yeah.
So his return in the race, has it complicated mathematics for you?
Of course, it has complicated the mathematics, but not significantly. It makes the cost of campaigning much higher, because when you're dealing with an incumbent, you're dealing with somebody who has structures, he has money, he has networks. But there is also a big advantage to it, because if I was not dealing with an incumbent, what will I have to critique objectively? Understand? So my outlay, human resource wise and financially, have had to increase for me to be able to deal with Tim Wanyonyi's return back to Westlands.
Right.
But that notwithstanding, his return gives the people of Westlands a better focus upon which to evaluate us.
I see you with a bracelet of UDA.
Yes.
There are 2 major coalitions in Kenya, Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Kenya Kwanza, according to your bracelet?
Look, time and unforeseen occurrences befall all of us, if you read the book of Ecclesiasticus. Never in my life did I imagine that I'll one day work alongside Dr. William Ruto. You remember, I was an ardent supporter of Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga. But you see, when I started serving as the president of the Law Society of Kenya, we experienced a lot of resistance from the state, and by extension also from the leaders of ODM, because President Uhuru Kenyatta and Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga had tagged along. And what was their mission? To dismember and destroy the Constitution, abrogate fundamental freedoms and rights. And you can see there are many people from this side of Dr. William Ruto who were targeted. Many, Alice Wahome, Kipchumba Murkomen, Dennis Itumbi, Rigathi Gachagua. Rigathi Gachagua has been here when he was being targeted. He was my client. He's my client. I mean, the list is endless. So by mistreatment, we ended up being associated. I remember at one point in time when we were pursuing the challenge against BBI, I asked the deputy president whether I could come and see him and present to him the memorandum that I'd put before Parliament. He said, come. And I took him through it. He saw the necessity as to why we need to challenge this affront. But you remember initially I was in ANC. You understand? I was convinced I will win the Westlands seat if I'm able to put in effort, either as an independent candidate or through ANC. But the realities of elective politics in Kenya is that you need a major political party. You are either in government or in the opposition. There are no two ways about it. In the middle here, you're just a leper, and you'll find a leper's corner in the National Assembly. I came to the conclusion that for me to serve the people of Westlands and Kenya effectively, I must either be in the government side or in the major opposition party. It's as simple as that. That is why when the time came, I moved from ANC and joined UDA. And like Joseph, who went to Egypt before his brothers and father, my father, Musalia Mudavadi, and my brothers in ANC followed me. And here we are. I believe UDA is a formidable party. Kenya Kwanza is a strong coalition that presents viable options to give Kenyans what belongs to them, to uplift the plight of those at the bottom of the pyramid. We're not offering people 6,000 shillings per month. We are injecting 50 billion into the economy. We're injecting hundreds of billions into the economy. Because you see, when you're giving somebody 6,000 shillings, it's like giving him or her fish. We're giving this guy fishing nets. We're giving these guys fish ponds. We're giving them lakes full of fish. You understand? And if you are to balance, and I'm a man prone to balancing the scales tilts in favor of Dr. William Ruto presidency. I have no apologies whatsoever working with him. And he's a very industrious man, because I've worked with all these people. Yeah, I've worked with Uhuru Kenyatta, I've worked with Raila Amolo Odinga, I've worked with William Ruto. I know them. Yeah, this gentleman works, and if Kenya has to go far, we need him to have individuals in the National Assembly with the same level of hard work and commitment as himself, to propel our agenda, to propel the agenda of the people of Kenya to a point where we decide to be.
Fair enough. In case you don't make it as MP for Westlands, are you up for a nomination in the National Assembly? Is it something that you would consider?
No. In our Maragoli dialect, we have a terminology called bwerere, things that are given for free. A man of my stature, and you can see I'm a coronated Maragoli king. I don't go for bwerere things. If the people of Westlands do not see merit in me being a member of National Assembly, I do not want to be nominated. I do not want to be favored. I'll come back here. I'll continue with my legal practice, and I will serve the people of Westlands, the people of Kenya, as I have served them as a legal expert.
What is your prediction for the August election, that is the presidential election? Will it be round one? Will it be a runoff? Or will it end up in the Supreme Court?
No, Dr. William Ruto will win this election round one with the majority. In my estimation, a margin of more than 10% between him and Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga.
How can you compare the 4 presidential candidates that we have now and their running mates?
Look, the best of the presidential candidates, of course, is Dr. William Ruto. He's an individual with gravitas, ideas, and the wherewithal to serve. And above all, he has age as his biggest advantage. You know, leadership is like boxing. Muhammad Ali had to bow out. Mike Iron Tyson had to bow out because of age. You can't fight age, my friend. Understand? And over and above that, look at the conglomeration of parties behind him. Look at the individuals behind him. And if anybody is to question, just look at me. I'm with him. You understand? Mudavadi is with him. Justin Muturi is with him. David Ndii is with him. Nanok is with him. It's a formidable force. And he has the most appropriate running mate for deputy. Somebody with an illustrious career in public service. You get it? Somebody with committed effort in service. I mean, there's very little to talk about the rest of the other candidates. I like talking about things that are there. You know, where I come from, they say, if an elephant has passed here, you will know. So let me talk about elephants. It's not in our business to speak about antelopes.
So you will not say anything about Raila Odinga, you will not say anything about Wajakoya or Mwaure?
All these individuals are my friends. Raila Odinga has served in elective politics for a long period of time. He has many disadvantages as we speak right now. He's not the Raila Odinga we were following many years ago. A good soldier knows when not to continue with an exercise. He participated in a lot of fundamental changes in Kenya, which is okay. But see, elective leadership is not a reward for what you've done. It is a license to go and do more for the people. It's like sending an astronaut to space, you know, or a commander in a SEAL team to go for a mission that he or she may not come back. You understand? The leadership of the country, the leadership of the Republic of Kenya, is not a small matter. We can't just give it to somebody because we are rewarding him. You understand? We must give it to somebody who has the wherewithal. Raila doesn't have it. And the age is the biggest disadvantage he has right now. You get it? Wajakoya is a good lawyer, is a professor of law, is a good friend of mine. But he won't win the election. He is in to test his ability to lead. That's okay. Mwaure, similarly. He doesn't have the ability to marshal sufficient numbers. Is there anybody else I've omitted?
No, they're just four.
They're just four.
Yes.
So in this race, the horses are two, Raila Amolo Odinga and Dr. William Ruto. You know, a rabbit may look like a horse, but it's still small.
Now, Mr. Havi, we have a segment we are calling Quick Fire. These are just light questions for you. Top of mind. What are your hobbies and interests? What do you do when you're not litigating cases?
I read a lot, not legal jargon. I used to hike and climb mountain and hills until I was slowed down by the pressure of public office. I used to travel a lot. I listen to Lingala, country music, and also dance a little bit. You've seen some of my dance moves, although some nimble-footed characters say that ninacheza na mguu moja. Yeah. Recently I've acquired, is it a hobby really? Or a practice? I cycle. Like we better be done in a short while because by 4 we need to do maybe 40 or so kilometers on the bike. So that's my hobby.
All right. Why do you like, do I call them khaki kaunda suits? You spot them quite often.
Oh, are they khaki? I call them olive fatigues. I was intrigued with the fatigues of Commandant Fidel Castro. You know, Castro is the only commander who never went to military school. He's a lawyer by profession. He said, I cannot change many things through the legal process. I'll take a rifle and change. For us, we don't need to take the rifle. We have a constitution. We have a basis upon which you can ascend to leadership and bring change. So part of it is in honor of Fidel Castro. I'm an environmentalist. I plant trees a lot. In fact, I said Sunday I was just given permission to plant 600 trees. But woe betide them. When I'm the MP for Westlands, I'll plant trees in every available space, and I will not seek anybody's permission, because we need to increase the tree cover in this country. Yeah, fine. So why not be green?
That is why you
I know Nzao Musau will comment about my green socks, but it's green from top bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boots or sneakers?
Boots any day.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Now, you have just told us that you ride for 40 kilometers.
Yes.
Why do we see a black Land Cruiser behind you when you're riding?
Okay. Now, the black Land Cruiser that you've seen is not mine. It belongs to my deputy president. She's still my deputy president. One day when I run for president of the republic, I'll have Caroline Kamende Daudi as my running mate. So on that particular day, I'd gone to collect my nomination certificates from the Hustler office. And then the traffic was enormous from Awings Kodek. So I told my bodyguard, Steve, Shuka, chukua nduthi, na ushukishe bicycle yangu. The bicycle was behind my X6. So he took Nduthi and I cycled all the way to the Hustler office. Then on the way back, there was still traffic. And we wanted to go to 3D for lunch with my team. So I told Daudi Kamende, who was with me, to cover me as I cycled because there was a lot of traffic. And it's for good reason. Look, I'm not just any other ordinary Kenyan. To use Professor Githu Muigai's terms, if I die today out of a cause that is not natural, it will be said that the former president of the Law Society of Kenya and Westlands UDA candidate was assassinated. If another person is killed, they say he was murdered. You know, my position in life does not allow me to be reckless. Much as I'm advocating for cycling, I'm not a fool. There are individuals who want me killed. There are individuals who want me injured. So I have to be careful. I can't cycle on the roads without security. So the Land Cruiser had Daudi Kamende in and 2 of my security men.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Whiskey, vodka, or beer?
Whiskey any day. I think I've won there. Not the Jack Daniels that was served to me by Governor Polycarp.
A vacation at the beach or in a camping site?
Camping site.
Okay. Just told us the genre of music you listen to is Lingala.
Lingala and country.
I don't know. Would you give us a note from that genre?
Ozalakananga pesa trolie, ozalakananga pesa trolie, desperately. Now there's this gentleman, his friend, who was very unkempt. Bad behavior, comes to his room, the socks stinking, smoking. So that's what Franco was talking about. You are ill-mannered, my friend. It's called Tresopoli.
Right. You just told us that you read to get your knowledge. What is your current read right now?
I'm reading a book titled Noise, A Flaw in Human Judgment. And you see, noise is not just any noise. You see, even as we are having our interview here, somebody could be doing some business there. But it is obscuring what we're doing. And often, when you're making a decision, there are many things that obscure your judgment. Look at a doctor examining a patient. The doctor could be having financial problems at home, or also maybe sick. It will obscure his judgment. Look at a decision made by a judge. A judge could be influenced by many things. Maybe the judge doesn't like Havi, doesn't like Ngori. This is the noise. Now, this book is a recommended read for many people. Perhaps I could recommend it for every person seeking elective leadership or those in office. Maybe even Martha Koome must read this book. You need to reduce noise. And you've seen sometime on Twitter or Facebook, I'm very aggressive. I give you an English insult or I block you because you are noise. For me to progress in my discussion, I need to remove noise. So it's an appropriate rate.
What is the lowest that you ever charged for a case?
Nothing.
That is pro bono.
I've done many cases for free. So that's the lowest. And I think almost 40% of the work I do, especially public interest litigation, is for free. I never billed for the BBI. Of course, David D and his team could give us some little money for photocopying or to buy tea. But if we're to bill for a case like BBI, that's a case that will have cost, let's say, like 100 million. If I was to bill for a case like the one for the Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, that's a case that will cost 50 million. If I was to bill for the CBC case that I'm handling, that's a case that will cost 20 million. That's why you see many lawyers who do public interest litigation are not affluent. They don't make a lot of money. But you don't need to make a lot of money to be a good person, to be a great man or a woman in life. In fact, my experience has taught me the days that I made a lot of money, and I'm talking about 30 million, 40 million, my account was clocked 50 million in fees, are incomparable to the days that I am here now, where I can say my name propels me or sails me through avenues and waters as opposed to money. I've been to gatherings where as soon as I enter, I'm taken quickly to a vantage position and I look behind the billionaires are sitting there. It happens. Nobody knows them. You get it? You may have a lot of money. You may have tens and thousands of acres, billions in companies. But as the good word, the Bible says, money will not give you what? A good name. So for me, yes, you need money. You need money to survive, to buy food, what. But a good name any day. So if it's a commercial transaction and you have the ability to pay, you must pay.
Okay.
If it's a public interest matter or you are seeking vindication of your rights and you can't pay, I will act for you for free. And I've done it many times.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, in your own words, reduce Kengori's noise because of his presence and ask for votes from the Westlands residents.
The people of Westlands, my name is Nelson and I Havi. I've done my time as a litigation lawyer. It has come to my realization that court practice may not often bring results that are needed for one or for all in the society. It is for that reason that I've volunteered to serve as the member of National Assembly for Westlands. I've set out 4 issues that, in my view, resonate with the duties and responsibilities of a member of National Assembly. 1 is good legislation. 2 is equitable distribution of national revenue. 3 is effective executive oversight. And 4, which is very dear to the people of Westlands, is infrastructural development. I plead with you, the people of Westlands, to see the propriety of electing me to serve you as the member of National Assembly come the 9th of August 2022. God bless you. God bless the people of Westlands. God bless the people of Kenya. Asanteni sana.
Oh, thank you very much.
Did I exclude the noise?
Now the noise is back. And on that noisy note, that is how we end it here with Mr. Nelson Havi on Tuko Siasa. A very pleasant personality to have a candid discussion with, especially matters politics and legal practice. My name is Kengori Wangesh.
Thank you.
Not Kengori Mwangi.
Pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure so much.
Any day,
Any
you're
day.
welcome here
Thank
to
you.
the Green Command Center.
See you next time. This is a green MP.
Yeah.